is up, guys? Thank you so much for being here. So today we're talking about my tactical 22 setup and why I think that it's absolutely worth having one. And towards the end of the video, we'll talk about why it might be a little extra beneficial for those of you that live in California or another restricted state. Let's start by going over what my setup actually is and why I think it could be beneficial to anybody. Starting with my rifle, which is the Smith & Wesson M&P 1522, and this is the first gen. And the reason why I like it a lot more than most of the ones that you find in the store nowadays is because it's a quad rail, and most of the time people are, prefer to not have a quad rail. They'd rather just have M-LOK on like a normal AR-15. That's because the quad rail adds a ton of weight, and it's also just very kind of like uncomfortable to grip. I don't think any of that matters when you're talking about a gun that's mostly made of polymer, and that includes the handguard. To me, it just ends up being a benefit because I have tons of rail space. I don't have to go and attach a rail to then attach certain accessories to that. And since it is polymer, it doesn't really add weight or like feel sharp or uncomfortable. But I did add these little rail covers just for looks and extra comfort. If you can find the version of this M&P 1522 that has the quad rail, I would highly recommend picking them up, especially just because they're less common. But if all you can get is the M-LOK one, I mean, that'll definitely do the job. And the reason why I recommend a M&P 1522 is because it doesn't just look like an AR-15, but it actually functions like one as well. Unlike some other 22s that may look like an AR-15 and they may be in a chassis that looks like an AR-15, but they don't actually function like one. You do have a different bolt system inside, so as far as cleaning it and all that, it might be slightly different than what you're used to because it doesn't have an actual buffer tube and buffer spring, and the bolt inside is not your typical AR-15 bolt. But again, as far as how the gun functions, for the sake of training, all the controls are exactly like your normal AR-15. And that's why I say don't just get a 22 that looks like an AR-15, get one that functions like one, because it allows you to practice and train for a lot less money, and you're still getting all those reps. Your charging handle is the exact same, and you've got your typical AR-15 safety, and bolt catch and bolt release. And that's another thing, is it does have last round bolt hold open, and it also takes normal AR-15 triggers. And so if you wanted to put in your favorite AR-15 trigger, you could, along with the furniture. So if you want to change out the stock and the pistol grip to match whatever you're running on your normal AR-15, then you can definitely do that. As for what I'm running, I mean, this is the Magpul furniture, and the reason I like this pistol grip, I also like BCM and other ones, but I like any of them that have a little pocket under here where you have a little trap door. Well, not a trap door, but you got a little door down here, and then inside you can store stuff, which is nice because I tend to keep like an extra battery. In this case, it's for the flashlight that I've got on here. If I had a battery powered scope on here, I would have a little extra coin battery for that in here as well. But I like it a lot for this setup because it's a Lillipold 2-to-7 power, and it's very small and lightweight. And it's just a simple duplex, but that's perfect for what I need because I typically am only using this for training within 100 yards and in, and I have it on a pretty affordable UTG quick detach mount. I mean, I don't really like to spend a ton of money when I'm talking about a 22 setup, even if it is for training, because at the end of the day, I'd rather pour all that extra money into my actual centerfire setup, which I definitely have. But I do try to get the best that I can for the price because I don't want anything that's cheap and is just gonna break or not work. I would say the only cheap thing on here is this flashlight because I got it a long time ago at a gun show before I knew anything about guns and quality parts and all that. But with that being said, it still works perfectly fine. It's kind of on a chunky mount, but it's simple and it does get the job done. Gun's empty, nobody behind the camera. You can see it's plenty bright, and it's cool because it's momentary if you just push it a little bit, or if you click it in all the way, it stays on. And the last thing is the backup MOE iron sights, just because, once in a while it's fun to take this thing off and just use the irons. Oh, and I also have a Magpul sling on here, which if you haven't seen these, they're pretty cool because they have different attachment points. So if you want to get QD or whatever, you can do that. But it's nice because it comes with this, I don't even know what you call it, but this little plastic part, you can grip it and you can quickly tighten and loosen. What's funny is I don't think I actually run any Magpul stuff on my actual AR, but gets the job done here. And again, it doesn't have to be this version of the M&P 1522, and it doesn't even have to be a 1522 at all. As long as it's a 22 that looks and functions like an actual AR, then you're good. Now for the fun of it, I wanted this 22 combo to kind of be matching, and so I went with a tan and black set, I guess you could say, which is completely different than what I went with my centerfire, because that combo pistol rifle is more OD green with some tan. The pistol I chose, which I think is as good of an option as you can get for tactical 22 pistols, it's this FN 502. And the reason I like it so much and think that it's probably the best option out there, if not the best, is because it just comes ready. Comes with a pretty decent trigger. Obviously comes with a spot to put your flashlight, which isn't uncommon, but then it also comes with a threaded barrel, so you can put a suppressor or any muzzle device that you like. Comes with suppressor height sights, which again, if you're throwing your suppressor on there, it's cool to have your suppressor height sights. And it also comes cut for a red dot, and so I decided to go with the Holosun 407C. By the way, the light is the TLR7X, and I like it because for one, it comes in FDE, and for two, I like the compact size of it. I have this weird thing where I don't like when the flashlight sticks out past the barrel, so you could probably even go with the TLR7 HLX. I think that one only sticks out maybe a little further, so it would probably still be flush with the end of the barrel. I don't know, that's just my weird thing. Maybe some of you guys do that as well, but it's a solid light and it's reliable. And I'll try and link some of these things from these setups in the description down below. That way, if you're interested, you can just kind of click on that and it'll take you straight to where you can buy it. And it's at no additional cost to you, but it does benefit my channel a little bit, so I'd appreciate that. Plus, that way you don't get confused if you aren't quite sure exactly which Holosun or which Streamlight. It'll just take you straight to it because I mean, I've already done my research on all these, which is why I'm running what I'm running. Oh, and I also like to run a suppressor on here, which you guys saw in the intro, and that is the Dead Air Mask, which I think is a great suppressor. If you watch some videos where they compare different 22 suppressors, a lot of them will say that that's the best or one of the best ones out there. Now, why do I recommend having some kind of setup similar to this? Well, it's for the sake of training. I mean, obviously it's a lot of fun too. Don't get me wrong, if you just want to have fun, these are great for that as well. But the reason why I choose more tactical setups and ones that emulate an AR-15 and all that is because I like to train or practice, and it can get really expensive. Obviously, if you're shooting 5.56 and 9mm, I mean, yeah, they're not the most expensive calibers out there, but if you're shooting a few hundred rounds, even, I don't know, every other week, that can definitely add up, even once a month. I mean, we're not all just balling out here, and so it can definitely kind of add up over time. But with 22, I mean, you can shoot for 4 or 5 cents a round if you're just buying cheap bulk stuff. But even if you buy more high quality, more expensive stuff, you're gonna get it for less than 10 cents a round, depending on what you're getting. Regardless of what you're paying, it's gonna be a fraction of the price to shoot a ton with this stuff than it is with your normal setup. So price is a big part of that. And yeah, you're having to go out and buy 2 extra guns, but in the long run, it's still way more affordable. And at the end of the day, you end up with 2 more guns, and they're fun because they have way less recoil. And so if you wanted to practice with somebody that's just more recoil sensitive, whether they're just smaller in stature or just a brand new shooter or something, you have something like this that you can kind of introduce them to before you move them up to something that's a lot louder with more recoil. And so yeah, it's not gonna be exactly the same when it comes to practicing or training, because the recoil does obviously make a big difference. Overcoming that recoil for a lot of new shooters, or even just people who don't shoot that often, is definitely something that takes practice that you may not be fully getting with something like this, but you're still getting all those reps when it comes to manipulating your firearm, like doing reloads, buttons are all the same, and so it really does help getting all those reps in. Like, you're getting the habit of putting that safety on and off every time, the way you use your charging handle. I mean, all that, you know, the more you do it, just like anything, it becomes muscle memory. So if you can build a lot of that muscle memory for a fraction of the price and have something for when you have guests and all that, then I think that right there is definitely worth it. And the reason why I said that this can be extra beneficial for those who live in California and other restricted states, I know you can't just have a typical normal AR-15 there. You can't have a pistol grip and all that. From having lived in California in the past, luckily I don't anymore, the assault weapons restrictions where you can't have pistol grip and a detachable magazine and all that don't apply to 22 LR. And so that really allows you to have more fun when you go out to public land and do your practicing and all that. And yeah, it doesn't really like translate the same because you're practicing on a platform to be able to like change out your mags and do all that, where you then can't do that on your centerfire rifle. But it's still fun to just be able to actually run an AR the way it's supposed to be ran, even if it isn't 22, then of course you'll have those reps in case you ever end up in a situation where those rules don't matter anymore. So hopefully that doesn't happen, but you'll have those reps in. With all that being said, I just want to thank you so much for watching till the end of the video, and let me know in the comments down below what you think of this setup, and if you plan on getting something similar. And obviously check your local laws before you go out and just be like, oh, I saw this on this YouTube channel. You always want to be smart. If you do already have a similar setup, let me know in the comments down below what it is. I'm always curious. And don't forget to hit the like button. Super simple thing you can do, takes about 1 second, but makes a huge difference for my channel. So I would really appreciate that. And if you guys like this kind of content, anything that has to do with like firearms, gun reviews, anything like that, definitely subscribe. I've got a decent amount of videos on my channel already, but I'll be putting out a ton more in the future. But I just want to thank you so much again for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.